Hello friends, welcome to series of online lectures. Today we are going to discuss about one of surface cooling technology, that is physical vapor deposition, in short PVD. I have divided this topic into two parts. In part 1 we are going to cover following points in that introduction to PVD, then we are going to see the classification of physical vapor deposition. In that again thermal evaporation, electron beam evaporation, reactive and activated reactive electron beam evaporation, and remaining parts we are going to cover in the second lecture. Okay, so let us begin with the what is the PVD. Okay, that is the introduction about the physical vapor deposition. So it is a one kind of method by which physical ejection of materials and upon molecules and conventional and nucleation of these atoms onto the substrate. That means from this particular line where we can get that we are having certain kind of base, or maybe that certain kind of materials we are agitating by maybe some laser, or maybe some electron beam, or maybe some current, or maybe some thermal, and that is releasing some kind of atoms, or maybe molecules, or maybe some kind of plasma materials. And then we are going to use certain kind of vapor gases, maybe or may not be then that material, or maybe that ions and that molecules can deposit on to the substrate, which are going to modified. So in a basic term, just simply we are doing a coating by using any kind of atoms or molecules, or maybe the plasma into the vaporized condition. Okay, so the vapor phase material can be consist of ions or plasma, and is often chemically reacted with the gases which are introduced into the vapor, called a reactive deposition, to form a new component. So from this particular we can understand that whatever the gas we are introducing, maybe it can react with that ion or molecules, or maybe it can simply the inert want to help the homogeneous coating of that particular material onto the substrate itself. Then this process can be applied to various kind of materials like ceramics, polymers, metals, then alloys, composites, etc. Okay, so now this is, as I have shown in the figure, there is our material which we are going to subtract and which we are going to modify, and this one, or me that rather we can say it that a substrate, and this is the metal ion, or maybe some kind of material which we are going to put on top of to substrate. Okay, look at the diagram. So here we are keeping our material, then either by giving the heat, or maybe some kind of electron beam, or maybe laser beam, or may some kind of other energy material, we are agitating these metal ions, so that they these metal ions slowly it can deposit onto the substrate. Okay, let us move for the next slide. Now we are going to discuss about the classification of PVD, or maybe the physical vapor deposition process. So there are the several types of classification are available in the, in terms of how we are going to modify those samples, how we are going to agitate the material, or maybe how we are going to do the coating, or maybe what term of energy just we are using to agitate those material and do the coating over the substrate. So first type is thermal evaporation method, then electron beam, or maybe e-beam evaporation method, then reactive activated reactive electron beam evaporation, then splattering, then cathodic arc deposition, ion plating, and pulsed laser deposition. So these are the types of PVD technique. So first we will discuss first that is thermal evaporation. So what is the thermal evaporation means? So from the name itself you can understand that we are giving certain kind of heat to the source material, so that it can agitate due to that temperature, or maybe the heating, and then it can release the atoms or molecules and directly that atoms and molecules can go onto the substrate, and slowly it deposit onto top of that substrate. So here the beauty of this technique is that it is totally controllable one. So what about the thickness we are going to achieve? Easily we can achieve those metal. So a thermal evaporation user and electric resistance heater to make source metal and rise its vapor pressure to the useful range. So sometimes we are using certain kind of heating elements, or maybe this heating coil. Then that heating coil, it gives a thermal environment by which your source is going to into the vapor form, and that vapor is depositing onto your substrate, or maybe the metal, or maybe the ceramics, or maybe the polymers. Now the thermal energy is imparted to atoms in a liquid or solid source, so that it can efficiently vaporize. So vaporization takes place in vacuum. Generally we are using the high vacuum, because otherwise what will happen if we do not use the vacuum, or maybe we do not use certain kind of inert gases, may that vaporized material can be reacted with the environmental oxygen, or maybe moisture, and it can form the newer material, or maybe the some unuseful material. So evaporated particles can travel directly to the deposition target without colliding with the background gas. Films can also be evaporated using the multiple sources. So from this particular, as I have shown in the figure, you can understand that we are having the certain source over there. Then we are doing for the degassing, we are having a coating onto the wall, so that the heat cannot go outside, and this is our substrate material, as I have shown in the figure, on which we are going to do the coating. Then we are agitating these materials by means of any kind of heater, or maybe electrical coil, so that this can form the vapor, and that vapor directly can be deposited onto the substrate itself. Okay, so now from this we can see that there are the several thermal evaporation types also there according to the input energy. So first is the direct resistive heating, then indirect resisting heating, then inductive heating, and the laser ablation. Okay, now we will discuss the some advantages of this thermal evaporation. Okay, so this technique is simple and cheap. Okay, and it having the less surface damage of the substrate, which gives the high surface. Okay, then some direct method, that is some indirect method we can use. Then we are getting the excellent purity of the films. So just we are giving the energy to the source material, so that source material can come into the wafer form and simple deposit onto the target metal, maybe that substrate metal. Okay, then there are the certain kind of disadvantages also. So limited to low melting point metal, poor density and adhesion, because we are giving a certain heat particular material, and if the melting point of that precursor material is too high, then it is very difficult to make them into the vapor form. And not only that, directly the gas is coming onto the substrate. So it depends upon the surface chemistry of that particular target metal. So if the target metal is little bit sticky, or maybe there is some kind of oil, or maybe glaziness is absorbed, so automatically that material will deposit onto that surface of surface. So of course, but there will not be any bonding, or may be the addition in between these two metals. Then it is not possible to operate the dielectric metals. Filaments limits the amount of metal that can be deposited. Then step coverage is more difficult to improve. So there are the lot of disadvantages are also possible. Then optimization, purity of the film depends on the purity of the source material and the quality of the vacuum. In case of films, the thickness of films vary according to the geometry of the chamber. The things is that what about the source material or maybe the precursor material we are going to take that depend upon the purity. If that material itself impure, then what that then that material some impurity also come into the vapor form and that will deposit on the substrate, so that will not get the exact property whatever we want. Then in case of films, the thickness of films varies according to diameter of the chamber because it depends upon the vacuum. So if the sample size will be more, then automatically the chamber size will be more accordingly, because we need certain constant vacuum for doing this kind of modification. Then what are the application about the evaporation of thermal evaporation? So first application, the evaporation of metals, alloys, semiconductors, insulations, etc. Again, gold plating machines, thermal insulation coating are possible. So these are the some applications of this technique. Now next one, we are going to discuss about the electron beam evaporation. Okay, so from the name itself we can understand that here we are using the electron, and then that electron we are bombarding onto the source material or maybe the precursor material, and then precursion a material is releasing certain kind of ions or maybe the molecules or maybe the plasma, then that is directly deposited onto your base metal or maybe the substrate. So here is a target anode, as I have shown in the figure. There is a target anode is bombarded with the electron beam given off by the charged tungsten filament under the high vacuum. So we are using one anode materials and other one is into the cathode material. So here anode is the source or maybe the precursor and the cathode is our substrate. So we are hitting or maybe the bombarding our anode material by the electron, then we are agitating those material, then they are releasing certain kind of atoms or maybe the molecules, and that is diffusion onto the cathode. Okay, means that is our substrate. So atoms from the target transform into the gaseous phase due to the electron beam, and these atoms then precipitate into the solid form by coating the substrate with a thin layer of the anode material. So we'll discuss about the advantages: high few micrometer per minute as well as low 1 nanometer per minute deposition rate, means that is fully controllable depending upon the how much energy you are putting onto the anode material or maybe the onto the source. Ability to control the structural and morphological properties of the film. Okay, again some kind of disadvantages also are available. So what are those? Filament degradation due to the non-uniform evaporation rate, then significant scattering of the vapor takes place. Yes, maybe sometimes it cannot be the homogeneous things, coating may be, and the heterogeneous coating can be possible. Okay, now what are the applications? Generally we are using this one for aerospace materials, then cutting, tool industry, then electronics and optical frames for the semiconductor industry. So there are the several applications of this technique available. Okay, let us move for the next one, is called reactive and activated reactive electron beam evaporation. So what is the purpose of reactive and activated reactive electron beam? Certain refractory oxides and carbides undergo fragmentation during the electron beam evaporation, resulting in stoichiometry which is different from the initial material. To overcome this situation, state to active reactive operation are employed. Both electron beam and thermal evaporation process are used to reactive and activated reactivity deposition. So we have discussed firstly about thermal evaporation, then we have discussed about the e-beam. Okay, maybe the electron beam evaporation. So these techniques is the combination of the thermal evaporation as well as the electron beam evaporation. Okay, so when we are giving the material a high electron beam, it is giving high energy to that material itself. So while it is that source material is going into the wafer form, maybe it can change its characteristics. So whatever the material we are wanting as a coating material, maybe that property can changed. So we are using the combination of both thermal evaporation process and e-beam operation process togetherly in this reactive and activated reactive electron beam evaporation technique. What are the advantages? So deposition of oxides, generally compounds we can do. What are the reactive type? So in this process, the reactive gas, generally oxygen, nitrogen, hydrocarbon, is introduced into the chamber while the metal is evaporated. When the thermodynamic conditions are met, the metal atoms react with the gas in the vicinity of the substrate to form a film. So here we are using the gas as well as the atoms together to do the coating onto the metal or maybe the substrate. So here is this technique. Actually we are using certain kind of aluminum, where over there we are using oxygen gas is okay. So it is making the alumina oxide or maybe that Al2O3. Okay, now next one is called the activated reactive type. Okay, in short we are calling it ARE or maybe ARE. So here this process is twofold. Generally it is divided into two steps to enhance the reaction efficiency through activations of the reactive gas that are necessary for the fusion of the compound films to modify the growth kinetics and hence structural morphology of the deposit. So that is why we are dividing into the two parts. Plasma are also used to activate the reactive gas. It's a evaporation force, maybe either e-beam source or maybe the electron beam or maybe some kind of resistance heated source. So recent developments in this ARA process are to produce the vapor species, confinement of your operation technique and development of modified plasma excitation geometry. Now what are the application? We can make titanium dioxide, silicon dioxide as optical coating, manufacture of carbide, nitride means the titanium carbide, titanium nitride, which can be used for coating of the some kind of tool material or maybe the cutting tool material. Then here we can see some kind of inserts, generally we are using for the cutting tool, because as we know that if we want to make a tool, cutting tool by any kind of material, it will be very expensive. So what we do, generally we are doing to use a cutting tool made of HSS, that means high speed steel, and the tip of the tool can be changed easily. We are generally calling it as an insert. Okay, so material is made of the titanium carbide or may be that titanium nitrate. Okay, so these are the applications of this ARA process. Okay, so this is about the today's lecture. Now remaining types of this PVD technique will cover in the next lecture. Thank you.
Hopefully you might have enjoyed the lecture. Then please do like the video and know your thoughts in comments. Please do share this video among your friends and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. After subscription you can press the bell icon to never miss the notification regarding our new videos. Thank you so much.